Alright guys, so this video is just going to go over a couple of really common faults that I see with the push-ups all the time. And usually if you've got one, then you've got the other, but they obviously can happen separately as well. So the two faults are the head drop and your hands being too far forward. So if you're in the military or you're going to join the military and you're doing your push-ups this way, chances are you'll turn up on your fitness test and none of your reps will count because you'll think you're going low enough, but in reality you are not. Okay, if you're not in the military and you're watching this, then this is still super handy for you because putting yourself in the correct positions with push-ups, you get the most out of them and you also reduce the likelihood of any sort of injuries in your shoulders. All right, so let's just look at a couple of reps in slow-mo here. Take a note of the head drop and the hands too far forward. Okay, now let's just pause it at the bottom position here. All right, that's down the bottom. Okay. Now, as you can see there, right, my head is like, my face is really close to the ground. So in my head, I'm thinking I'm getting super close to the ground here. And this one's really easy to pick up because you can see people that are doing their push-ups and their head is pretty much going in between their hands, okay? And that's the wrong position. If your head is going in between your hands, something is in the wrong spot, okay? So with me, with my head drop there, I'm thinking I'm super close to the ground. But in reality, if you look at my upper arm, I'm still way off parallel there. Like my chest has still got heaps fire it can go to get full range out of that. All right, so with that, what you want to be aiming for, so you got your nice neutral back there, and you want to be aiming for your neck to be relatively close to that neutral position as well. But as you can see with mine, it's on an angle like that, so it's way out of position. Okay, so the second fault is the hands being way too far forward of the shoulders. Okay, and it's really easy to pick this up because not only, like I was saying before, you're going to be doing your push-ups with your head in between your hands, but also you can see that backward angle of the forearm there. If that's there, then your hands are in the wrong position. Okay, so what you want to be aiming for at the bottom of these push-ups is pretty much a very close to vertical forearm to get your arms in a much better position. Because if your hands are that far forward, pressing in that position is super bad. Like it's a bad position to be in for your shoulders. If you do like heaps and heaps of reps doing it that way, you're going to end up with a shoulder injury, as well as it's just not a very efficient way to put the pressing force into the ground. Bring that back into that vertical forearm position. You got much better pressing force into the ground, and you got a heaps better position, like a heaps healthier position for the shoulders as well. Okay, so let's look at a couple more reps here, and we'll turn it off slow-mo. All right, as you can see, none of them are going low enough, and everything's in a really weird position. Okay, now what I'm going to show you is how to actually get into the proper position and what it looks like once you're in there. Okay, so straight away, the first thing you do is you got to bring your hands underneath your shoulders or even a little bit back, as you can see with mine. Now, if you look at the top of my back here, you can see how much I'm pressing into the ground. My core and everything is really switched on, and I'm pressing into the ground as hard as I can, pressing those shoulders forward and really locking everything in and stabilizing everything. You can even see my lats here poking out of my shirt, and that means they are really switched on. Okay, now you can see I'm even slightly back from my shoulder position. Okay, now I'll show you how this comes into play once we actually get into the down the bottom of the push-up, right? But the second thing you'll see me do, okay, hands are in position and just there. So if I rewind it a little bit, all right, see my neck was relatively relaxed. Now I switched it on. You watch it move back up, okay? Now what you need to think of is holding onto a tennis ball underneath your chin. Without your hands, you're just holding onto it with your chin there. What that'll do is switch all of the muscles on at the front of your neck and open up the back of the neck, and it'll bring your neck back into a much more neutral position, as you can see there. and that's going to allow you to get lower because your face isn't going to be touching the ground. All right, so you can practice this with actually putting a tennis ball or something underneath your chin and holding it there if you've got a really bad habit of dropping your head. All right, so now you can see when I do my push-up. All right, that's not even the bottom, there we go. Now, my face is actually telling me, my eyes, are actually telling me how close I am to the ground, because if my chest is hitting the ground, that's the same position as my face, rather than before. My face was like heaps closer when my chest was way up, because now you can see I'm well below parallel there, nearly at chest to ground, and I've still got a little bit of room to go with my head. Now, another thing to note at the bottom position here, now that I've changed my hand position, now you can see my forearms are pretty much vertical at the bottom. Okay, so with everything locked in, every rep's the same. All right, I'm not my eyes are actually telling me how close I am going to the ground, and those that forearm is nice and vertical to get the best, most efficient pressing force into the ground and putting my shoulders in a much better position. All right, so do your push-ups like this, and I can assure you every rep will count in your fitness test. And if you're not doing fitness tests, then you'll get the most out of your push-ups, and your shoulders will thank you for it later on. All righty, guys, hopefully this helps you out.